So the question that I have, does it mean that we have to go through all of these lines of code, all the hundreds and hundreds of scripts, just to change few lines of code? Or is there a way how we can handle all of the proximity prompts in just one script? As a scripter, you most likely know what proximity prompts are. I mean, it's one of the first things that you learn from those beginner to advanced tutorials that you see on YouTube. But what if I told you that those tutorials don't actually show you the correct way to do proximity prompts? So let's imagine we have a proximity prompt door, right? Usually a proximity prompt door will have a script inside of it that handles stuff like opening, closing, and all of the usual door stuff. And it will be fine since we just have one script, right? It's not the default to manage one script. We can always edit the script, we can always change the lines. It's not that hard. But let's imagine we are building a hood game. Now, a hood type game usually has lots of houses, right? Meaning lots of doors. So what we'll usually do is just take this door and copy and paste it into all the door placements. And what does it mean for us is that now we have hundreds of scripts and hundreds of doors, and still it's fine, right? Since we aren't actually changing anything in code, all of the doors will just function the same way. But let's imagine, after finishing the map, after finishing the gameplay, we decide to playtest the game. And whilst playtesting, we feel like maybe those doors are opening too quickly, or maybe too slowly, right? They just don't fit our game's vibe. So the question that I have, does it mean that we have to go through all of these lines of code, all the hundreds and hundreds of scripts, just to change few lines of code? Or is there a way how we can handle all of the proximity prompts in just one script? And obviously the correct answer is the second one, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video, but I'm willing to bet that most of you don't know about this feature because honestly, I myself just found out about it yesterday whilst researching for stuff to learn about scripting on documentation, and I was so surprised that those people that do the introduction don't actually show the service, because if I just knew about this service, I would have saved myself so much time of just like going to a door and copy and pasting it over and over again. So what is the service? Well, the service is called ProximityPromptService, and basically what it does, it takes all the proximity prompts, all the proximity prompts inside of the doors, for example, and it combines them into one single beautiful service. So I will showcase it by making a door system, but obviously, you know, you might have a different proximity prompt system, so the logic should still apply. It's just, you know, I will do it on doors, right? So the basic door setup that I have is basically I have this main door part that acts as this main part that will open and close whenever like you trigger a proximity prompt. Then I also have opened and closed doors. Those are basically just the references for the main part to open to. So to create this service, right, let's go and create a script inside of service script service. Let's create a script and name it door handler. So basically how this script works, right? So first off, the service, again, it's proximity prompt service, and you can get it from game get service proximity prompt service. So I told you that this service basically combines all of the proximity prompts, and the way it does it, you know how proximity prompts have their own events, like for example triggered, shown, or whatever, right? So proximity prompt service also has these events, but those events in proximity prompt service trigger whenever any prompt activates. Instead of like referencing the prompt directly, like doing, okay, for example, local proximity equals script.proximity, we instead are basically connecting to every event with just one line of code. So the lines are, for example, let's me write prompt. So as you can see, the proximity prompt service has all of these events, and those events are also the default events that the proximity prompt has, but instead of being direct to a single proximity prompt, it's directed towards all of the proximity prompts. So for example, let's get the prompt triggered event, right, and connect and use the second option of function. As you can see, instead, like normally when you will connect to a proximity prompt, it will just have the player as a parameter, right? But with proximity prompt service, the difference is that we also have the proximity prompt as the parameter. And if you know any basic scripting, you already know that we can do a lot of stuff with the reference. So for example, right, our doors have the proximity prompts, meaning that, you know, whenever the proximity prompt triggers, if we know which proximity prompt it is, we can get all of these base parts with just this proximity prompt. And let's actually do it because we are making a door system. So for example, right, proximity prompt is inside of the main part. So we can get the main part by doing door equals prompt.parent. Prompt is the reference proximity prompt. And again, we can continue like door model, right? The model of the door is again door.parent. Or for example, the two reference parts. So closed door equals door model, fun for child, closed door, like so. Or the open door, the same way. So open door, let's actually just copy the name, like so. As you can see, it's really easy, and you already know that if we have the main part, if we have all of the references, we can do the entire door system. So first off, obviously our door needs some kind of animation, right? I don't want to just teleport the door to the correct position. So what do we do is, first off, obviously, let's get the twin service. If you don't know about twin service, I suggest you watch a different tutorial before watching this one, because twin service basically allows you to automate properties of an instance. So let's get twin service. Also, one more thing, since this is a door system, right, we need to find a way how we can track which doors are opened and which doors are closed, and we cannot just make a boolean value, right? Since making one boolean value wouldn't apply, since we are handling all of the proximity prompts. So what we'll do is actually create an array called open doors, and we will insert any open doors inside of this array so that we can trigger the appropriate animation of the door. So for example, right, if we find our prompt inside the open doors, it means that the door is opened, right? So this is opened, and we will close the door. So we can close the door by just removing the prompt from the array. And if it's not there, it means that the door is currently closed. So what we'll need to do is actually insert the door inside of the open doors array, because it will mean that the door is open. And actually I see a typo, like so, equals nil. And now we basically are handling all of the states. So whenever the door opens, right, first off, all of the doors are closed. None of the doors are actually inside of this array. So whenever the first door opens, it will just insert the door inside of the open doors array, right? It will mean that the door is opened, and if this door is triggered again, it will remove the door from this array, meaning that the door is closed. So we can actually just trigger the animations now, since we know when the door opens and closes. So let's actually create twin service create. Our main part is a door. Let's create twin info 0.4 enum async style quad. It's my favorite animation. And let's do cframe equals, so this is closing, so closed door cframe, or reference part. And let's actually play the twin service, and since we also know when the door is opening, we can just copy and paste this into the second one. But let's change this line of code to open door, and basically, if I'm not wrong, this should work fine, right? We built our door system from the scratch. Oh right, again typo. Be careful with the typos. So now if we test the game, right? So at first all of the doors are closed. We open the door, we close the door, everything works. Yeah, as it should, you know. And the funniest thing about this is that, again, none of the doors actually have any scripts. So we basically, with just one script, we created the whole door system. So imagine we building the hood game. It's so much easier to like change stuff, for example, the animation speed and stuff. We are just copying the doors, and the proximity prompts handle themselves from just one script. Also, like, small thing that I forgot to mention, if you have any ideas that you want me to cover next, then don't forget to write them down in the comments. I will definitely check them out for any more ideas to cover. Anyways, good luck scripting.